got hit with a metal bar, tonic solid inside the. Because it's got the same amount of characteristics of their body, it's just, it goes without saying, inside those muscle, because they're already pre-made, other than what a primary conjecture is, fine tissue that we can't reach versus another. So if you get hit inside of a muscle, which is basically, the platonic shapes would be easier to describe than like a whole brain thing. Start. Yeah, okay. Got a weapon. And then the movie Toy Story is all about locations, if anything. And the person never recorded anyone in public directly, but there's tattoos on the back of someone's leg. And I thought that if this was like a doll trying to get someone, it would go out. But when there's like it would have been a robot would have done like something marked by. Hair, it's fiber. Got caught in the metal on the camera. And that building's supposedly haunted.
Shortstop Michael Seeger.
It was said that it should have been explaining that everything's made up with atoms. But something more accurate than that could have been. So if there was one thing in the universe that you had to pass on because everyone was explaining that everything's made up with atoms. But something more accurate than that could have been, it was Kepler thought it were the platonic shape. And in locations in the USA, there's so many places that there's a thing that's possessed. A guy did a count number of dolls, and there's at least 3. That bad stuff happens to people after they leave the doll. Because they provoked it by going up to its location in the glass. So in Toy Story, there's this one kid, and his name is Sid, and it's like how the whole thing happened, where these corrupt toys equal to the Chucky horror story, but nothing bad ever happened to Sid. But ostensibly, he's the guy who started it all. That was the major plot point of the whole movie. And so he would just go in his backyard and build stuff like this and explode it. And then Zod almost took out Andy's toys that could have like done stuff to him. Start editing from what you want out of those 2. I just threw 1 apple and threw 3 into water. If that would have affected a ring in Mordor, that would be crazy.
Hey, good hack!
Just getting a simple printout of the instruction. Did you use this for a satellite Bluetooth? Can modem. You know what I'm saying? As long as you had a pen that was hollow. As long as you had a pen that was hollow, you could ostensibly get a Bluetooth if you had a Nerf available. Because this is all it fucking is. It's just like an octopus's scale. If you could just scale one octopus's plunger, you could get a Bluetooth. That's technically what this is. Person. Gas station, I would allow this. I've worked at one, but the person at the gas station, if they accepted this, would be pretty, like, open to accepting basically anything. Even though this is all legitimate, the information isn't smeared. Just looking at it is like, are you kidding me? You're using that for proof of what it actually should have been. But nonetheless, I would do it if I was a gas station cashier, definitely, because all the letters are correct. If I could implement that as well. The difference between tool usage when it comes to hooks versus swords is a representation of Cabal or Movado inside Mortal Kombat. Now how they both use the bar or the sword that's hooked is no different than how bowling alleys pull up racks on either side of the gutter. They do so with hook sticks. They also use hook sticks to move giant things that could be used as sharks that were put under sleep. And a shark put under sleep is technically anything that is large enough as like a bear. Because if you cut off its limbs if it's sleeping, it's just a shark out of water. But carrying that amount of weight, you need 2 hook sticks. Especially if it's on a decline and you're going up it. So the amount of calculated dystrophy in any odd second can't be a scale that is based upon psychology, because some people's trains of thoughts are wrong, but they shouldn't be killed for it. But what's the maximum penalty? And yet, what's the maximum penalty? If something's hurting and no one knows why, it doesn't say exactly a full explanation other than it's some like fine muscle tissue that we can't reach. What does that even mean? And so if you get hit inside of a muscle, which is basically 100% of your body's amount of muscle anywhere on your exterior is essentially a muscle. So to the finest degree, what that means is you would have to know down to the very fiber how much that actually meant per things that were hurting it. I just got hit with a metal bar inside the stomach, and I think it's going to bruise. How much bruising is dependent on how much fibers are like within the wrong